फाउंडेशन फॉर सिविलाइजेशन हार्मनी ने मानव रचना इंटरनेशनल यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ मिलकर भारत नेपाल संबंधों पर परिचर्चा का आयोजन किया। इस मौके पर भारत और नेपाल के पत्रकार, साहित्यकार और बुद्धिजीवियों समेत दोनों देशों की कई जानी मानी हस्तियां मौजूद थीं।
We all will pay tribute to Pandit Ravi Shankar ji. I will recite few lines composed by Pandit Ravi Shankar ji. He composed this welcome song in 1982 at Asiad Games. शुभ स्वागतम अथ स्वागतम, शुभ स्वागतम अथ स्वागतम, आनंद मंगल मंगलम, आनंद मंगल मंगलम, शुभ स्वागतम अथ स्वागतम, शुभ स्वागतम अथ स्वागतम. With these words, I welcome all you here in this seminar. Thank you so much.
Friends, it gives me immense pleasure welcoming you today, and I have had the opportunity to interact with some of you at the conference that you had at the Constitution Club, and in fact, I must thank here, this is not the vote of thanks, but I should at the beginning itself thank Deepak Adhikari. In fact, when he came and discussed with me informally about this conference, it was a suggestion from our side that we would like to have all of you from Nepal as our guests for an evening together. So initially it was planned on 13th. Then subsequently it was felt that by 13th all of you would not be able to reach Delhi. So we kept it for the final day. And the final, you always remember, the last piece of sweets that you have at a dinner. So I'm sure that you will all, when you go back to Kathmandu, you will all remember this high tea. Friends, I won't take much of your time. I would just like to briefly introduce the Global Foundation for Civilizational Harmony, India. We are organizing this high tea in association with Manav Rachna International University, and I am grateful to Colonel Saab for this. And friends, Global Foundation for Civilizational Harmony, India was launched in 2008 January. We will be 5 years coming January 2013. This was basically established with the idea that the Indic perspective or the Oriental perspective should be part of the global dialogue. We felt that in the global dialogue, when we talk about the global dialogue, it is fully as if the clash of civilizations is between Judaism and Islam, Christianity versus Islam. The scope of Indic religions, Oriental civilizations was missing. Whether it is Hindu, Buddhist, Shinto, you name it, they were missing from the global dialogue. And we felt that it is very essential that this, in fact, I was a little surprised when I went to attend the 4th Forum of the United Nations Alliance of Civilization in Doha last year. I mean, we were just not there. It seemed as if the entire civilizational dialogue was between the West and Islam. It is very important that the West and Islam there is a dialogue. But then we are also part of the entire global process. The Hindus, the Buddhists, the Jews, the Jains, the Sikhs. So it was felt that this effort should be made, and this is called an Eastern Initiative for Conflict Avoidance. We believe that if the Eastern perspective is looked at, there is no scope for confrontation. Eastern perspective, from the Western perspective, we look at it that there has to be a conflict and then it has to be resolved. Whereas we see it that a conflict can always be avoided through dialogue and better understanding. The second concept was that we have this concept of religious tolerance, which is a Western concept. Again, we talk about tolerance. That means we are tolerating each other. Tolerating means, in Hindi, we say bardasht karna. So I don't know what kind of a mutual relation this kind of a concept would build when we say that we are tolerating each other. So we felt that it is very important that we understand each other, we accept each other. And not only that, we also celebrate the diversity. Only then there can be global harmony and goodwill. That is the foundation of this. And at the foundation, the launch of this foundation, it was done in the presence of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, former President of India, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. We have had Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, we have had Baba Ramdev, we have had Swami Dayananda Saraswati, we have had Maulana Mahmood Ali Madani of the Darul Uloom Deoband, we have had Cardinal Oswald Gracias, the Archbishop of Mumbai, we have had Rabbi Ezekiel Isaac Malekar, who is the head of the Jewish synagogue in Delhi. So we have had people from across the broad spectrum of all religions, all civilizational processes that we have been engaging with, and we have been working in that direction. And I am happy to tell you that in 5 years we have already become the Indian partner of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, and we have been engaging with a lot of organizations across the globe. In fact, we facilitated and we worked closely with Darul Uloom to organize conventions, anti-terror conventions across the country, wherein it was declared that terrorism, Islam is anti-terrorism. So that we felt that there was a growing misconception within the country that needed to be, that Islam does not support of terrorism. So this message was sent across and public conventions were held. Similarly, we have had dialogues with the Jewish clergy, the Hindu-Jewish dialogue, to reduce the, whatever misunderstanding was there. We have tried to have similar engagements across the on a global scale. In fact, in this very convention hall a couple of months back, Professor Verma is here. We have had a seminar on the plight of religious minorities from Pakistan, in Pakistan, and we had people from all religions, Islam, Shia, Sunni, Pakistan. So this is the kind of message, So the whole idea is to create goodwill through better understanding, and we feel that we should not, unlike the conventional, idea of interfaith dialogue, where what we do is that we have lunch together, dinner together, and we say goody things, and then we go out and then start abuse each other. So we felt that we need to address each other's concerns, each other's misconceptions have to be changed, and for that we have to take issues head on. We will have to confront each other. Look, what do you think about this? This is what we feel about it. What do you have to say on this? Unless those fundamental differences are addressed, there cannot be lasting goodwill and understanding. This is the premises on which we are working, and touch wood, we have been successful so far. Some people ask me that when this is an inter-civilizational dialogue process, why Nepal? We felt that Nepal, since time immemorial, we have had a great relationship with Nepal. Historic, cultural, religious. But over the years, maybe mostly due to political reasons, there has, let us accept it, there are certain misunderstandings which have crept in. We can again say goody things here, but we are not here to say just goody things. And I am glad that at today's conference, we had particularly our editor of Republica, Vishtaji, was blunt enough to say several things which are, the general misconception that need to be addressed. And I am sure there are misconceptions on both sides. And let us face it. Let us try to, unless we will always talk about, the great historical, religious, bond we have, and then we try to sidestep the, fundamental issues, the fundamental differences or misconception. It could only further alienate our relationship. We have to, take the issues head on so that we have the best of relations. We can't do without each other. Anything against India is certainly not in Nepal's interest, and anything against Nepal is detrimental to India's interests. So both countries are equally, and it is very important. In fact, my association with Nepal, personal linkages apart from the cultural, historical, whatever we say, is that I was there in Nepal for a couple of months after the Royal Palace massacre, and there I saw how there were deep-rooted misunderstandings among the common people itself. And I felt that maybe there is a feeling of mistrust, there is a feeling of a big brother attitude towards that the people of Nepal feel that the Indians have towards them. If that is there, then let us address it. It is important that we address them. Let us not brush it under the carpet. Let us face it. And that is why we felt that this dialogue is very important. We want to engage with people across the political spectrum in Nepal. And we felt that while the political dialogue and governmental level dialogue will continue at their own pace, our relations are too strong to be left to the governments alone. Let us do our bit at the people-to-people level. And that is why this initiative has taken place, and I am grateful for the great response we received from the Nepal side, as also from our guests who are here today. They are very enthusiastic about it. Friends, once again a hearty welcome on behalf of both Global Foundation for Civilizational Harmony and Manav Rachna International University. And we will begin the program with a brief presentation by our Gfch activist, I must say, and lawyer with the Supreme Court of India, the young and dynamic Shri Vivek Goyalji.
Friends, as Suresh said, that India and Nepal have ancient ties, and we can't fix a time limit to it. It is time immemorial. Skanda Purana, which is a holy scripture of Hindus, mentions about Nepal Mahatya. It explains in more detail about the beauty and power of Nepal. It gives a complete chapter on Nepal. The meaning of Nepal is a country looked after by me. There was a rishi called Ni, on whose name the name of the country was given. Goddess Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, was belonging to a Kirat community, which is a community in the mountains, and it was one of the main communities of Nepal. Janakpuri, the birthplace of Sita, and the main place where the Ashtavakra Gita was created, that is located in Nepal. Lumbini, the birthplace of Gautam Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, that is located in Nepal. Nepal was also part of the Bharatvarsha. So after independence of India in 1950, we made a new beginning with the Indo-Nepal Treaty of 1950. And we need each other cooperation.
Thank you, Vivek, for putting the Indo-Nepal relations in perspective. I'm sure there are many more input we would really synergize and bring the two countries together. And there cannot be a better speaker on this issue than well-known industrialist and philanthropist, Dr. A.K. Agarwal. Dr. A.K. Agarwal is an engineer by profession. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Automakers Alliance Limited, a professionally
managed limited company engaged in the manufacturing of high-level railway equipment in collaboration with internationally reputed companies, including those from Switzerland and South Korea and Hungary. He is an elected member to the Confederation of Indian Industry. He has been a nominated member of the Expert Advisory Committee of the Department of Science and Technology, Ministry of Science and Technology. He has participated as a member of the National Consultative Committee on National Innovation Systems of India, United Nations. He has been delivering lecture at the University of Minnesota. I mean, the list is endless. He's a recipient of the Leadership Award for Sectorial Excellence in Engineering by the MIT University. He has been a member of the International Association of Business Leaders in USA, aimed at developing sound business practices for improved vision, performance and leadership. He is an executive member of the Indo-Italian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and he has been awarded the Udyog Ratna Award. He has authored a book, Management by Walking, and this is on winning strategies for excellence in the profession. Apart from that, he is a philanthropist. He runs the Eminent, an NGO with national level character and engaged in recognizing the contribution of veterans in their chosen field and strengthening the bond between young and old. He has also produced short films on Common Man, Same Team, on piracy involving CDs, and the sound designing for the film was done by Oscar-winning sound designer Rasul Pikuti. And he was nominated, he has widely traveled, and he was nominated as a part of the high-profile business delegation accompanying President Pratibha Devi Singh Patil during a state visit to Spain and Poland for international diplomacy and business development. I heartily welcome Dr. Agarwal.
But I am not on that side because my role has been defined by Sureshji to talk about business. So this harmony and civic sense and everything, he will talk and others will talk. Let me go only for business. We are the largest trading partner of Nepal. He gave certain figures for the bilateral trade in 2010 and 11. It has been, of course, increased in the years, year by year. It is increasing. But if you compare with other countries, small or big, it is very little. The increment is very little. Now, how to raise this level? I will try to discuss few things here, but I can say that your joint intellect is much more than my intellect. I will share my views only. There are so many areas of cooperation. I believe, I have been 2 times to Nepal, not everywhere, but if I compare, let's say, the Switzerland and Nepal, area-wise, mountains-wise, bearing few things, ignoring few things, I think you can become Switzerland after some time. With the support of India, with support of your friends here, with support of visitors, how it can be. I remember way back so many years, Devanand shot the full film there, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. But now the film industry in India, they are going to Switzerland. There is a space called in Switzerland, Jungfrau. Young means young, and Frau means lady. So this is the name of the mountain there, Jungfrau. So they go there, pay hefty money there, but they can come to Nepal also. You have the similar kind of mountains, but you have to create that ambience, you have to create that environment, you have to invite them, you have to prepare some kind of forum, so that they are more attractive towards you. And they have got immediate advantage, because in Switzerland the cost is high, the language struggle, There are so many other infrastructural and organizational troubles. With you, no trouble. No visa trouble, no passport trouble. Everything at the doorstep. You speak the same language, more or less. This is one area, the film industry. I think you must have, or you may be having, some kind of cooperation between film industry in India and film industry in Nepal. Maybe some kind of benefit you give to film industry. Let's say, if the people go there, you give them some kind of benefit in terms of taxation. So this is one area. Another area is railway sector. I think railway sector, because if you want to become Switzerland, you have to build certain railway lines. Railway lines of different types. There are three types of railway lines. One is the trunk line, one is the side line, one is the two-stick line. So you can first build, let us say, two-stick line in cooperation with the Indian Railway here or Indian Railway industry here. If someone says that fund is the shortage, I don't believe it. Fund is never a shortage. It is the shortage of the willpower. And I think you have tremendous amount of willpower. If you have come here across your country to have Indo-Nepal cooperation here, I think you can do wonders. So I can say I am senior member of Association. I am not in government. I am not in railway ministry. But I think people are open today towards this sector in India. We can discuss at Association. I can tell them. Maybe some Indian industry from railway side can visit your country. Maybe some industry people from your side can come here. So some things should be found out in the sector of railway. Again, the attraction will be the tax structure. If you can give some kind of benefit to the industry for the taxation, like some other countries they give, so people will be attracted towards you. Railway sector is one thing. Then you have so many medicines. Still we say Himalayan medicines, Himalayan herbs. There may be some research activity that from where these herbs are there. If you see, the same herbs we are using for the centuries. But I don't think that no new herbs have been are there. So you can find out new herbs there. Dr. Gupta, I think, can suggest few things on that. So new herbs can be found out. Their utility, their utilization can be researched. This is a new area. Then, of course, the manpower training, the manpower education. Here the same kind of philosophy we have. Maybe IT sector or hardware sector. You can develop there with the support of Indian industry. Some kind of benefit like we give in Himachal Pradesh or in Uttarakhand in India. Maybe this kind of benefit can be thought of. But this is my personal opinion. I should not be called here and again. But why you say like this in this Indo-Nepal delegation? But this can happen. If you pursue well, this can happen and you will flourish with the industries there. Because the costs are increasing, tax cost is too high everywhere. So, in fact, we run the industry in Himachal. Why? For tax benefit. And if the similar kinds of benefits are given in Nepal, you can discuss with your government. We can discuss here, maybe in some industry forums. So these are the small things. I think if we civil people, let's say forget about government for a time being, ignore government for a time being, if we work in correct harmony through the organization of Civic, in association with Mauna Ratna University, I can say with guarantee within 10 to 15 years, we will have the neighboring Switzerland. Thank you very much.
आप यूनिवर्सिटी त्रिभुवन यूनिवर्सिटी में प्रोफेसर्स हैं और सेंटर फॉर नेपाल एंड एशिया स्टडी जो त्रिभुवन यूनिवर्सिटी के अंतर्गत है, उसमें आप डायरेक्टर रहे हैं। और जो राज्य की जो संरचना समिति, जब राज्य पुनर्संरचना समिति सरकार की नेपाल की तरफ से बनी थी, उसमें आप उस हाई लेवल कमेटी में रहे हैं। तो बाकी श्रीमान पूरन पी बिष्ट जी, आप रिपब्लिका जो पत्रिका है उसके आप चीफ एडिटर है, सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट है, और भी काफ़ी यहाँ मिनिस्टर्स हैं अपने नेपाल से आए हुए, फॉर्मर मिनिस्टर, एक्टिंग प्राइम मिनिस्टर, यहाँ फॉर्मर एक्टिंग प्राइम मिनिस्टर, और काफ़ी मिनिस्टर्स, सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट, एडवोकेट्स भी आए हुए हैं, प्राइम मिनिस्टर के एडवाइजर्स, फॉर्मर्स, ऐसे काफ़ी यहाँ वरिष्ठ व्यक्तित्व पधारे हैं। तो समय के मर्यादाओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए बाकी वो अपना परिचय बाद में विषय आगे जोड़ें। धन्यवाद।
Although this was settled, I learned from the document that one of the leaders of Nepal, democratic leaders, was assigned to do this duty, but he couldn't come to this seminar. That's why Dr. Shekhar Koirala was assigned in the beginning. So I don't know whether I would be able to actually replace, the place, what he was, the duty, what he was expecting to do. But let me start with this. I'm very much comfortable because beginning of the session just touched my core area of history, historical, cultural things. And I found from in the whole day we have spent stressfully discussion, depth and some informative discussion. So we all are, I think, quite tired also, but I would like to put my things in brief. First of all, my responsibility has become to correct some of the data presented by our friend, but although I would express my thankfulness to bring these things here to us, but by Vivek Goelji, in historical parts, we have the first new research, what we have done. Through those research outcomes, what we know that name Muni is not the new thing that Nepal is named after. That is one of the ethnic groups that time used to be known as Nep and Al. That belongs to Kiran, broader name of Kiran. And also there are so many, not even dozens, not only within dozen, but dozens of information, historical information from India, from Indian sources, including Samudragupta's inscription, and so many Jatak stories from India. And there is a book by Rahul Sankritai, Indian Pandits in the Land of Snow, which describes so many Buddhist scholars who spent their time and devoted their part of life studying Buddhism and Buddhist aspect of Nepal and Tibet, including beginning from Padma Shambhava, who was from Udiyana, Udisha now, and Atisha Dipankar, and Shanta Rapsita, and so many dozens of Pandits from Bihar and UP. So, yes, Skanda Purana is one of these sources. Nepal Mahatmya certainly includes within that Skanda Purana, and that was written, we proudly say that part of Nepal, Skanda Purana, was written in the Gandaki region of Nepal. And Buddha's things we discussed yesterday also, and we can spend time, hours and hours discussing about these old religious things. And also coming to modern data, there are also some missing things. I would like to suggest to my friend that Treaty of Transit was signed in 1999 first. That was renewed in 2007, not signed in 2007 or 9. And also, it's a transit. Nepal, we discussed that, some uneasiness and some comfortableness within these relationships in spending time yesterday and today. And not always these safe haven for transit kind of things in our history. These things should be discussed very seriously. And regarding the security, just recent, I'm not from this particular area, but our Indian SSB praised our Nepalese police's duty, recent incident. So I would like to remind those kind of things also. They are putting best effort to, whatever they could do, always not leaving those terrorists, as heaven there, So, having said this, I would like to go with the Oriental thing that my friend mentioned. When I was at Columbia, Pastor Chatterjee, he was a teacher of mine from Calcutta, and he used to teach about nationalism there, and also I was taking Sanskrit courses also, and long discussions about Orientalism and Occidental, topics. This, because it has a Oriental perspective, class of civilization, and these are great things, but these days, the term Oriental itself, this is designed and coined in European streets of Europe or European university. Why we go with this? Indic civilization is a great thing. Or South Asian, or Vedic, or whatever we could call, Oriental, they named us, as Oriental. And when British were ruling this country, that time, for their sake, they made a kind of subject of Oriental studies. But who is Oriental and who is Occidental? What is the dividing line between these two things? These are theoretical things. So it would be better to think these kind of things seriously while we discuss about civilization, Oriental or Occidental. And also, I always these days, I would like to put, in quote unquote, Eastern and Western. It's very Pashchatya or Purviya. The dividing these, global things with quaint, imaginary lines. These are the theoretical things I just would like to put in front of this audience and with the suggestion for my friends here. And going back to Nepal, Nepal-India relations we discussed yesterday. These days, what we are, we find, little bit, in recent things what's happening in Nepal. India is somehow what we expect, from the point of view of these two major religions and civilizations linked to these two religions, Buddhism and Hinduism. But the other thing is happening in Nepal that I will sometimes very alarmed. Just the recent, death, our poll also brought a very alarming situation. In some parts of Nepal, we have hundreds of monasteries, they are being destroyed. Hundreds of temples, they are just neglected. And some other things is happening, other things are happening in Nepal. Different new coming type of, what we used to call in Sat Samudra Parka. Oh, Arahai, it's coming in. So this is what our concern is, right here. So in my district, I'm from a very remote part of Nepal. There, I had counted when I was a researcher doing field research, there were 84 monasteries, Buddhist monasteries, Himalayan Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, and 25 Hindu temples in that district. But now, because of the recent change, fast change like super rail type of speed they have, that Nepal has for those kind of things, there are 101 churches, evangelical churches. And, so many problems Nepal is facing. So for this aspect also, we have to be mutually very much cautious about these things. If we talk about, religious and ancient civilizational things. So, having said this, I would like to make very bold to my friends both sides, from India and Nepal, because we have spent hours and hours talking about these kind of things. And thanks for inviting us here and for your good treatment in that program, wonderful discussion, and for your friendship cordiality. I would like to thank you again, and let us just say long live the relationship between ancient to modern times relationship between Nepal and India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dungal. Thank you, Nand Kishorji, for being here. In fact, Professor Dungal, thank you very much for correcting some misconceptions or some wrong facts. And I can assure you, we always use the word Indic. But we are, particularly when we are talking with our neighbors, we are a little cautious. Because the moment the word India comes, in Pakistan people have a problem even with the term Indian Ocean. They say the name Indian Ocean should be removed. There should be some other, they have a problem with Indian subcontinent. Now, India did not name it like that. It has been there since time immemorial. But then, we are a little cautious even while using the term Indic. We liberally use it as you suggested. So when we, yes.
South Asia or Asian civilization?
Yeah. So that is, So that is why we prefer to use a word like Oriental rather than Indic, because we don't want to offend any sensibilities. We were being a little more cautious, but we will go by your suggestions. Thank you so much. And I can assure you the issue that you raised is of really deep concern for us. You see, here also we feel back home in India that convergence is one issue which we are also trying to tackle at the Global Foundation for Civilizational Harmony. And we have been talking to people. We believe, in fact, because I did not want to talk in detail about our foundation, in 2008 February, there was in Vienna, we are a signatory to Professor R. Vaidyanathan from Gfch was present there. And we are a signatory to the Faith Human Rights Declaration, where it was in that Human Rights Declaration there is a clause that every individual has a right to retain his faith. This was a very cardinal principle, and I have discussed it with Professor Verma also here. And this is one issue over which we are also discussing, because conversions are creating a lot of conversions within the society. So I think that is one issue we are also equally concerned about. I am sure that we can work together in that area also. Friends, in fact, thank you Deepak ji for reminding us. We know that this delegation, the people who are on the stage are just a representative of the highly eminent delegation. We have former cabinet ministers here, very eminent people here, because Deepak ji said that many of them are really tired after a day-long kind of thing, and the people with journalist background can, hold the fort for long. So they were assigned this responsibility to be here. May I now request Shri Puran P. Veshta Chetri, editor of the Republica Daily, to give us a perspective of India-Nepal relations. Thank you, sir. We particularly would like you to focus on how to bridge the communication gap between the two countries. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Suresh ji. Vivek Goyal, Dr. A.K. Agarwal, Professor B.K. Kotiala, retired Colonel B.K. Gaur, my fellow friend, Dr. Ramesh Kumar Dungal, and distinguished guests and delegates from Nepal, media friends, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, I was a bit blunt, I think, in the afternoon when I presented my paper. There could be several reasons, because by birth I'm an Indian and by nationality I'm Nepali. Because my father left Nepal in early 60s. Because there was an agreement that because of the Article 6, 1950, and I was born in Manipur's Shero Thawal district, which was very near to Burma, that's here border with Burma. But fortunately, I could attend a college called, a reputed college called Ferguson, which produced 2 prime ministers in India. And I must express my gratitude to India because I love it and it's my second home also. So I enjoy the right to speak everything, whatever I feel, I guess. And I also thank Global Foundation for Civilization and Harmony and Manav Rachana International University for this immense response. I had not expected that we Nepali delegates would get such a huge response from Indian intellectuals, academics, journalists, politicians. Nitin Gadkari also spoke in things in detail about how he could help Nepal to rescue from current crisis. And I have been asked to speak about media. How can we bridge the gap, bridge the current gap? In fact, we have a very brief history of media history in Nepal. If we look into the media history, then it started after 1993 when Kantipur was launched in a national scale. There were some newspapers in the private sector, but these newspapers were very small. They had catered very small reader to small readers only, and run by either politicians or some individuals. You know, they were tabloid type. But if I look into India's press history, then it started in 1780 when James Augustus Hickey launched the Bengal Gazette. And so India has a very long history of media. And there are veteran journalists in India. When I did my mass communication, like Arun Suri taught me about media. R.K. Jatmalani taught me crime and punishment, crime and praise. Then R.K. Lakshman taught me cartoon and praise. Like that kind of stuff I never got when I did my European journalist program in Paris, because there are good intellectuals, academics in India with whom I also want to interact frequently so that I can learn, The more I get exposed to Indian community, of course, India has got the largest democratic country, but it has got its own essence. So we want to learn what is that essence so that we can also, it helps us to establish or to foster democratic values in Nepal too. As we know that what is happening in Nepal shows that this meeting or this two days conference also showed that some of the Indians, academics, intellectuals are so concerned with what is happening in Nepal. I don't want to get into that detail into that. And this is a very good beginning and initiative undertaken by some of our friends from both sides of the border. And if it continues and there is a good platform where journalists from India and journalists from Nepal come together, discuss, share their experiences, and then communicate. Nowadays we don't have to come to Delhi or Kathmandu. We can sit on a chair and we can email and communicate. And there are so many, there are social media also available. And what I think, just before summing up, I just want to say is, of course, media is obviously a driver of our bilateral relations. Wherever it wants to take the relations, it can. One of our panelists said that Indian investors in Nepal can establish themselves only when there is a political stability. Before that, we desperately working in a sense. It's in pendulum. We don't have a permanent political document or constitution. But if there is a political stability and a free and strong media, can only allow Indian investors to have an unhindered access to reliable and credible sources of information, which in turn will allow them to make informed decisions. So I think, and Mr. Suresh also has assured in the afternoon, that he would work for bringing journalists from both the countries together once in a year, or let it be once in 2 years, where we can come together, share our ideas, values, identify our areas of interest, and work together for the benefits of both peoples of both the countries. And with this, I express my gratitude, and I'm very thankful to every Indian. I could read that every Indian, be he or she, in academic, intellectual, politician, is eager to help Nepal, and such kind of support I have never expected. With this, thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Don God.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the entire fraternity of Manav Rachna International University, I extend a very hearty welcome to the delegates from Nepal, and I would also like to extend the invitation to them to visit Manav Rachna International University, a preferred destination for technical education in the NCR, as and when they like. Thank you very much. All the speakers have spoken on the various issues, particularly relations. I am a soldier, would not like to venture out on anything which is pertaining to politics, but I would definitely like to lean on a famous couplet, लम्हों ने खता की, लम्हों ने खता की और सदियों ने सुना. Whether it is on the part of the Nepalese people or it is part of the Indians, the question is the mistake remains the mistake, whosoever commits it. And the whole idea should be to rectify it at the earliest. Majority of us on this mother earth, even at home, in our day-to-day problems, or the problem at the highest level, whether it was Cuban crisis or any other conflict on the globe, it is the question of intention. And if one has to draw any lesson from the great epic Mahabharata, the only single lesson is that if your intentions are not right, you can have everything with you, you will still be a failure. And that's what happened with Duryodhana. There is nothing that he was lacking. But at all occasions, his intentions were always right. And ultimately, we all know what is result. India and Nepal, the relationship people have talked. My friend mentioned to you about the Skand Puran where Nepal Mahatma. He also mentioned about the most important Article 5 of the 1950 Nepalese Treaty, the Salt Treaty. We have to change ourselves according to the change that is taking place, over which we have no control in the atmosphere, and that is where we go wrong. This is the basic perennial problem with all of us human beings, that we try to control others without controlling ourselves, and totally forgetting that you can never control others. And still we continue that pursuit. Where we can, let's forget about what happened, what should have been done. This is for people, those who matter, they can decide. But definitely we can shake hands. Nepal has made giant strides in the field of higher education. Since 1951, large number of institutions have come. But to my little knowledge, they have yet to make compatible progress in the field of education. When I say technical education, it's all fields of engineering, its paramedical sciences like physiotherapy, nutrition and dietetics, therapy, where we can definitely help them out. At the government level, it could be infrastructure building. We have got the teachers' education. We have got all paramedical sciences, physiotherapy, both at bachelor's and postgraduate level. And we also have this nutrition and dietetics. We also have a faculty of international programs where students from friendly foreign countries, they come. What I want to say that the Nepal student could be the biggest beneficiary because studying and entering into India is practically hassle-free for them as compared to any other student who come to our university. There are good job opportunities because India today has a large number of such. And if you study in an environment where in the classroom you have multicultural, I think your intellectual prowess gets increased many. Manavrachna International University, our focus is more on values. Today, just I think you can imagine that you have a personality who is dwarfed with a swollen head. This is what is happening. The child may be very good in academics because he has easy access to the reservoir of knowledge through Google power. But I asked one of the students why this name is Google. In a gathering of 200, not even a single fellow could answer why this name. Not even a single fellow could answer why this name. That is Vijay. The whole trouble today lies, and we are trying to address that through being part of the values. That we have to progress intellectually, physically, spiritually. This is what Gandhi had said long time. The 7 sins what Gandhiji has mentioned in Young India in 1930s. But today we have to see the relationship. It is more through the study and strengthening of each. My dear friends, since I touched a bit of mathematics, though I am a soldier, it is a stupid, absurd equation, some of you may feel. IT plus IT is equal to IT. That is the future, and that's what I want to invite friends from Nepal. IT is Indian talent, that you have put. Indian talent, international technology is equal to India of 21st century. Join us. We can achieve better results.
Since Colonel Saab has recited a couplet, I would also like to add to it. And that applies equally for any bilateral relationship, mutual relationship. मोहब्बतों में दिखावे की दोस्ती ना मिला, मोहब्बतों में दिखावे की दोस्ती ना मिला, अगर गले नहीं मिलना तो हाथ भी ना मिला. Friends, now it is time to hear our chief guest, and we are indeed grateful to him for flying in specially from Bhopal at a very short notice and agreeing to come here and be our chief guest. He is Professor B.K. Kuthiala, Braj Kishore Kuthiala, Vice Chancellor of the Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University of Journalism and Communication. I often refer to him as a media philosopher. He's a veteran communications scholar, and he has a rich and varied experience of over 4 decades in media and academics. He has earlier held distinguished positions including that of Director and Professor at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication and Media Technology at the Kurukshetra University, Kurukshetra, Professor and Dean of the Faculty of Media Studies and Proctor at the head of the Department of Advertising and Public Relations. He was Dean Faculty of Religious Studies and Head Department of Religious Studies and has performed as Dean Academic Affairs, Dean Faculty of Information Technology and Computer Sciences, Chairman of the Department of Communication Management and Technology, Department of Printing Technology and Department of Computer Science and Engineering. He is the founder teacher in Guru Jambeshwar University, with which he was involved right from the planning stage, with its growth and development from the beginning. Friends, his credentials are so long that we will have to spend the rest of the evening reading it out. But I will try to sum it up. He has taught at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi for 21 years, Kurukshetra University for about 2 years, a known scholar in the field of mass communication and media research. He has to his credit more than 100 research reports, more than 80 research papers, about 200 newspaper articles, and about 100 radio and television programs. He introduced many innovative and job-oriented courses and initiated many new teaching practices and research methodologies. He has edited many journals and 2 books. He is a postgraduate in anthropology and also in sociology. He was trained at the Film and Television Institute of India, Pune, and the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Delhi. A trained and practicing computer programmer, a teacher, practitioner, and researcher in the field of journalism and media. He is also an established academic manager. He has received many awards including Guru Shrestha and Sarva Shrestha Sancharak. He contributes regularly to English and Hindi papers. He produces, anchors and participates in regional and national radio and television programs. He is a consultant for newspapers and associated actively with the University Grants Commission, IGNOU, NCRE and 16 universities and 22 institutes of higher learning. Friends, he has travelled across the world and the list is endless. As I said, he is a genius and we are indeed fortunate to have him with us here. Professor Kutiala.
Dear Professor R.K. Mugen, representative of the Nepali delegation. Dear Mr. P.P. Vista Shetri, also a part of the delegation from Nepal. Respected Colonel Gaur, respected Dr. K.K. Agarwal, respected Vivek Goenji, my dear friend K.T. Suresh, members of the delegation from Nepal visiting India, and ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of all of us here, I extend a very warm welcome to all the delegates who are at the moment visiting India, and perhaps looking at the ways by which this part of the world can have an environment where the humans can have a better life. I think the human civilization of which Gfch wishes to and plans to improve upon has reached a stage where we have to think in terms of broader perspectives rather than simple nationalistic or regional perspectives. A very interesting point was raised here about certain nomenclatures, and that was about Oriental and French things. Friends, there is so much stereotyping about all of us by the people who do not belong to us, and one of that was perhaps the use of word Oriental, and another of which my friend Nirmal Adhikari is very fond of talking about is India. why do we call it Indic studies? We are not India. No one, we never gave ourselves the name India. We have other names. We have the name Bharat, we have the Aryavrat, we have other names, number of names are there. Our constitution also says, instead of, it should have said Bharat, that is India, if at all it had to say, it says India, that is Bharat. But consider the perspective, consider the vision that you get when you talk of Bharat and a vision when you talk of India. There are two different visions that come out of that. And it is that vision that this part of the country, the populations living in this part of the world have to think about. I think if we talk about that, we would be better understanding our present and future. I have been given 25 minutes by Suresh ji. I earlier thought that I am a teacher and I don't stop, once I start I don't stop before 60 minutes. क्योंकि कॉलेज में यूनिवर्सिटी में क्लास 60 मिनट की होती है and your vice chancellors and your heads of departments take you to task if you don't finish those 60 minutes teaching, and teaching means talking. And perhaps keeping that habit of mine in mind, Suresh ji gave me 25 minutes, but I was very pleasantly surprised that all my previous speakers have not consumed their time allotted to them. I have two options. One is I can follow in their footsteps and speak less, and other is that I can take the benefit of time they have not spent. But twice or thrice it has been told to us that all delegates from Nepal are very tired. Right? They have to go for a dinner. And they have to go for a dinner, and we also have to go for dinner. So, I can assure you that I will try to finish in less than 25 minutes, starting now.